How do you follow up the biggest album of all time? By 1987, Michael Jackson was already the king of pop. Thriller had sold in numbers no one thought possible. 7 top 10 hits, 3 of the most iconic videos ever made, and performances that turned him into a global icon. But with superstardom came impossible expectations. For 5 years, the world waited to see how Michael would top Thriller. And when Bad finally arrived, it wasn't just an album, it was a statement and an evolution. For me, this era shows Michael not as the unstoppable hit machine of Thriller, but as an artist willing to push his sound, his image, and even his relationship with his fans into new, riskier territory. I'm Roger, your pop charts nerd, and today we're looking at the Bad era, the singles, the chart feats, and the bold choices that kept Michael at the center of pop culture in the late 80s. You ready? Chamon. The pressure was immense. After the Victory Tour with his brothers, and co-writing and starring in USA for Africa's historic We Are the World charity single, Michael retreated to his home studio and spent years shaping his next move. This time he wanted more control. He still worked with Quincy Jones, but unlike Thriller, Michael co-wrote or wrote nearly every track. The themes were sharper, the visuals bolder. Gone was the wide-eyed star of the Billie Jean moonwalk. In his place was a leaner, edgier Michael. Leather jackets, buckles, and a street persona crafted as much through image as through sound. And of course, the promotional campaign was massive. A $30 million Pepsi sponsorship, a record-breaking world tour, and a single-release strategy designed to keep Michael on the charts for over 2 years straight. When it came time to launch the Bad era, Michael didn't lead with a dance anthem. Instead, he surprised the world with a ballad. I Just Can't Stop Loving You was a duet with Saida Garrett, who had co-written Man in the Mirror for the Bad album. Originally, Michael wanted Barbra Streisand or Whitney Houston to sing it with him, but scheduling conflicts led to Garrett stepping in, and she nailed it. The song gave Michael his first #1 of the Bad era in September 1987. But while it hit the top, it wasn't a cultural event on the level of Billie Jean or Beat It. Some critics even called it underwhelming.
This time is forever, love is the answer.
Looking back, it feels like Michael and Epic Records used the single as a warm-up, a gentle reintroduction before dropping the big guns.
I just can't stop loving you. I just can't stop loving you.
If the duet was a warm-up, Bad was the true kickoff. Michael had originally planned Bad as a duet with Prince. Prince later joked that the opening line, "Your butt is mine," wasn't something he was going to sing to Michael. So the idea fizzled, and the song became a pure MJ showcase. The video was legendary in its own right. Directed by Martin Scorsese, featuring a young Wesley Snipes, and produced like a short film rather than just a performance. Michael in that leather and those buckles, declaring his toughness in a subway showdown. The Bad short film premiered on network television in August 1987 as a global event, drawing tens of millions of viewers. Michael had already redefined what a music video could be with Thriller, but with Bad, he turned the very act of releasing a video into a worldwide spectacle, something only he could command at the time.
Michael Mania is once again sweeping the world. What will he sound like? What will he look like? How will he move? No one is really sure, but we are sure of one thing. Here he comes.
On the charts, Bad hit #1 for 2 weeks in October 1987, just 5 weeks after I Just Can't Stop Loving You claimed the top spot. But more importantly, it set the tone for the era. Michael wasn't chasing Thriller, he was rewriting the rules of what a pop star could look like and be in 1987. Rolling Stone noted at the time, Jackson stakes out a new, tougher image, one that's more defiant than boyish. After the grit of Bad, Michael pivoted to something lighter. The Way You Make Me Feel showed a playful, romantic side, but still with full MJ flair. The video told the story of Michael chasing Tatiana Thompson through city streets, all while backed by a posse of dancers. It was a cat and mouse game turned into choreography, which, to be honest, could not be released in the 2020s without being labelled deeply problematic. The single hit #1 in January 1988, and his performance of it at the Grammys that year, shirt untucked, hair wild, dance moves effortless, reminded everyone that Michael was the most electrifying live performer in the world. The Los Angeles Times wrote of his Grammy performance, Jackson prowled the stage with a looseness and energy that no one else in pop could match. It wasn't just a hit, it was proof that Michael could still command MTV and radio with pure charisma. If The Way You Make Me Feel was MJ the Charmer, Man in the Mirror was Michael the Messenger. Written by Glenn Ballard and Saida Garrett, the song called for self-reflection and change. Its video, featuring footage of world events, from famine to protests to great leaders, was strikingly different from Michael's usual visual spectacles. On the Hot 100, it became Michael's second #1 of 1988, holding the top spot for 2 weeks. But its legacy goes far beyond the charts. Michael's live performances of the song, particularly at the Grammys and later on the Dangerous Tour, turned it into one of his defining anthems. It showed that in an era of excess and spectacle, Michael could still move people with sincerity. Billboard praised it as a rare pop hit that asks its listeners to reflect rather than escape. Michael had conquered pop, R&B and ballads. With Dirty Diana, he reminded everyone he could still rock. The track featured blistering guitar work by Steve Stevens, best known for his work with Billy Idol. Its lyrics tackled the world of groupies and temptation, a darker subject than Michael usually addressed head-on. The single reached #1 in July 1988, Michael's fifth from Bad, the first album in history, and still one of only 2 to this day, to score 5 chart toppers on the Billboard Hot 100. But with Dirty Diana in particular, critics were divided. Some thought it was too blunt, others praised its edge. But fans embraced it, and the song became a staple of his live shows, including a memorable performance during the Bad World Tour in London, where Princess Diana was in the audience. After 5 #1s, the Bad album campaign still had more to give. Another Part of Me had originated in Michael's Captain EO film at Disney parks. Released as a single in mid-1988, It peaked at number 11 on the Hot 100. A smaller hit, but it kept the momentum and interest in Bad alive. Liberian Girl wasn't released as a physical US single, but in Europe it became a top 20 hit. Its video has gone down as one of Michael's most playful, a star-studded gathering of celebrities like Steven Spielberg, Whoopi Goldberg, John Travolta and Dan Aykroyd, all waiting for Michael to show up. When he finally appeared at the very end behind the camera, it was a wink to his growing role as both performer and director. Smooth Criminal didn't hit number 1 in the US, but it became one of Michael's signature songs. Its video introduced the anti-gravity lean, one of his most famous dance moves. Internationally, the single was massive, and its legacy only grew thanks to live performances and the Moonwalker film. Leave Me Alone wasn't even on the original vinyl release of Bad, but by 1989 it had become a statement piece with a surreal video mocking the tabloid obsession with Michael's personal life. Together, these songs show the depth of the Bad era. Even when the hits weren't topping the Hot 100, Michael was still shaping pop culture. By the end of its run, the 11-track album Bad had produced 9 singles globally, 7 US top 20 hits, 6 of those top 10, and 5 number 1s. The last of which was an outright record at the time and not equalled until Katy Perry's Teenage Dream in 2011. Michael's younger sister Janet surpassed him in one regard with her Rhythm Nation 1814 album released in 1989, generating a still unmatched 7 top 5s on the Hot 100. Check out my video on that incredible era. I'll put the link in the video's description. Anyway, Bad may not have outsold Thriller, but it proved Michael wasn't a one-era phenomenon. Across 3 successive Grammy Awards, 1988, 89 and 90, Bad earned a string of major nominations, including Album of the Year, Record of the Year for Man in the Mirror, and multiple nods for vocal performance and production. In total, Bad received 6 Grammy nominations, but to the surprise of many, Michael only won 1. Best Short-Form Music Video in 1990 for Leave Me Alone. After Thriller's record-breaking success, it was a curious outcome for an album that dominated charts and redefined pop visuals. Proof that sometimes the Grammys catch up with history only in hindsight. Meanwhile, the Bad tour broke attendance records worldwide. Michael's videos pushed the medium even further, blending cinema with music production. And MJ's status as the king of pop solidified, because he'd sustained his dominance into a new, different phase of his career, and elevated himself into an even rarer stratosphere that would see his influence felt for decades thereafter. Critics may have been divided on the album at first, but history has been kind. Today, Bad is seen as one of the definitive pop albums of the 1980s, ambitious, daring, and loaded with hits. As Michael himself wrote in his autobiography Moonwalk, Bad was conceived as a complete piece, a body of work where every song could stand on its own as a single. Speaking of singles, while Bad produced a record-breaking 5 Hot 100 number 1s, each of them had relatively short stays at the top, never longer than 2 weeks apiece. That's quite a contrast to the epic 7-week reigns of Billie Jean and later Black or White. But in many ways, it reflects the hyper-competitive charts of the late 80s, when songs turned over at a much faster pace than today. And given the current trend of songs lingering on the Hot 100 for a year or more, I know what I'd prefer. How about you? That's a hot topic for a video another time. With Bad, Michael Jackson proved he didn't need to repeat Thriller to stay on top. He could evolve, take risks, and still dominate the charts. 5 number ones, even more iconic videos, and performances that remain etched in pop history. The Bad Era wasn't just a follow-up, it was a reaffirmation of Michael's place at the very centre of global pop. If this is your first time here, a very warm welcome from me, your pop charts nerd, where we dig into the stories behind the hits, the chart feats, and the pop moments that define generations. Today's deep dive into Michael Jackson's Bad Era is just the start. So please give this video a like and subscribe to join me for more iconic albums, unforgettable singles, and the legends who shaped pop music. Because every chart has a story, and we're just getting started. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again very soon.
I'm a dream to have seen nothing. There's a way to